Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from the Isle of Man in the UK. This is John and Mike's MMA Corner.
Welcome one and all to John and Mike's MMA Corner.
MMA from a different angle.
And before we kick off with obviously our usual saga of laughter and seriousness, professionalism, we're going to start by asking you all to jump onto Facebook, Twitter, the lot really, the social networking sites, and give some of our esteemed colleagues a follow, because their hard work really helps not only us and yourselves but just MMA grow. So first up we have MMA Scotland. We'd like you to also jump onto UFC Wreckage on Facebook. Their Twitter handle and their website is MMA Wreckage.
We also have MMA UK, and their Twitter handle is We Are MMA UK.
Jump on to Facebook to Fighting and MMA.
We also have on Facebook and Twitter The Real MMA Talk.
And last but not least, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter. Can't miss them. If you like a giggle, you like a laugh, jump onto Funny MMA, kind of putting a light-hearted view on the aspects of MMA and the goings-ons.
I thought it was serious.
Exactly. So that's what you want to jump onto. Now what we're going to do is jump straight in to this week's edition. Hello ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. I'm going to jump into this because I have 6 guests to put on for you to listen to, and as well as talk about several things that have popped up in the past week or so, little bits of gossip and information. First and foremost, let's go to the guest. I'm just going to give him a quick shout out. We'll have Steven Haag on during the course of this podcast. We'll have Freddie Walker, Corey Browning, Gavin Walker. We'll obviously have the end. Not the end. So we'll have Andre Harrison and Steven Siler. Okay, I'll go into a little bit more detail about who they're fighting and what they're going to be on later on. First and foremost, I wanted to say we're going to talk about the Johnny Hendricks, Stephen Thompson card, UFC fight card just happened. We're going to talk about a couple of the fight results from there. I'll also be mentioning this time around about Edmund again. Edmund, and his Glendale. Oh no, it's not his gym, or is it his gym? Line under oath, what it can mean. Cage Warriors, April the 15th. Rumours are going about the main event. Also, Demetrius Johnson, he's got a title shot. He's got a title defense, and a fighter who's got a title shot against him, who I believe is not ready yet. Also, we've got a rematch happening as well. Main event in that card. CM Punk, he's been injured in a tables, ladders and chairs match apparently. And we also have Bellator making some new signings recently. So let's go straight to a couple of interviews to start with. In fact, I'm going to kick off with Andre Harrison and Steven Siler. Okay, Andre Harrison, he is the 145, the featherweight champion of the Titan FC Titan FC promotion. Steven Siler, he is going to try and take that belt away from him. I've mentioned before, there's a little bit inconsistency with guys defending that belt. Can Andre Harrison be the man to change that and hold the belt and get his chance to fight in the UFC with a defense against a guy like Steven Siler, who's a great name to have on? So here is Andre Harrison, and then after that, I'll have Steven Siler straight after. Okay, March 4th, Titan FC 37 is going to happen, and one of the fights that is going down is Andre Harrison, who's joining us, is defending his belt against Steven Siler. Hell of a matchup, hell of a scrap. Andre, you last fought on a September card. You've had a bit of time to get your training, a bit more training. Kind of, you can focus on specific things as you weren't in a fight camp. How's your time been then? Have you went anywhere specifically? Have you done anything to maybe work on your game, so to speak? What have you been doing on your time off?
Well, yeah, I've been in the gym, all the time. So I've been working on a lot of different things, a lot of different techniques. Some things that in my last few fights that I should have done that I maybe didn't. We worked on that and worked on letting stuff go a little bit more. And so hopefully in this next fight, everything comes together and I put on a better performance than the last fight.
Steven Siler is a great opponent for yourself. And like I mentioned, if you look at your past 3 fights before Steven Siler, you've got Cody Bollinger, Kurt Holoblog and Desmond Green. Those are 3 really good names on your resume to already have on the win column. To put Steven Siler in, I think that would really kind of cement yourself as a UFC ready fighter, so to speak.
I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, if you look at the Titan 145 roster, no disrespect to the other guys, but the guys that I've recently just beat, and the addition with Steven Siler, that's like the top tier of the 145 roster. So me beating him, that cements me as the best person there. It it would show that the only logical thing to do would be to move me up and test myself against bigger names and everything like that.
The other thing is you're defending your belt as well. That's the key. A lot of people say anyone can go out there and fight their way to a title, but it's having that hunger to defend it. That's the key. It's defending your belt, and that's something that the 145 division has not really had yet. No one's been sitting there defending their belt in that 145 division at Titan. So for you to get the defense, it'll be a nice little marker. I think it'll be a good thing for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Desi won the belt by beating Siler, and then he lost it to Kurt. Kurt won the belt by beating Desi, and then he lost it to me. And so far, I've been the only one to defend it. And I don't plan on handing that belt over anytime soon. So, yeah, I mean, it's staying.
Yeah, it's I tell you what, it's a nice little thing. The card they're putting together again. Fingers crossed things work out. Obviously, Jeff gets back 100%, and there's nothing going wrong for this card. Hopefully, everything happens on the 4th of March. I'll admit I've missed covering the cards. I miss speaking to the guys, and it's great to have the card back for yourself. 2016. I imagine this year. This is the year you're pushing yourself out there. It's the year for you to really make that push to get into the UFC, and then start to kind of finish the year. I imagine you'd want to finish the year with a UFC couple of wins under your belts.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely my game plan. For the new year, I always write down my goals and what I plan on doing, and that's definitely written there really at the top. My brother Randy Brown just got signed on that show, and he went ahead and he won his UFC debut, and now he's pushing, he's helping me out with my fight camp now and everything, along with my other teammates, and friends that Belmore Kickboxing and Scarola Jiu-Jitsu. Everybody's pushing to make this not only a win, but a strong win at that. Like, let it be cemented that if we fought 10 times, I'd win 10 times.
So with Steven Siler, then he does possess a lot of different weapons and a lot of dangers, but I think that's a good thing when you fight someone like that, because it really does make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's in your training camp. You make sure that you've got everything screwed on. Is there anything particular about Steven Siler that you feel is more of his strength, that is something that you want to probably be more wary of?
There's not one thing I believe you can pinpoint with him. I think he's like very, very well rounded. So when you go with him, you gotta be ready to fight everywhere. You can't just come out there and be strong in one area and think you're gonna get a win against somebody like that. You have to be ready to go wherever the fight is gonna go.
I agree, and he's shown as well that he's not someone you can easily put away. He's a very tough fighter, so yourself as a champ, you've got a really tough fight, and you've proven, though, that you can do a 5-round fight.
Yeah. I mean, my cardio, I don't believe has ever been in question. I work really, really, really hard every day, every night, so my cardio's never been in question. So if it does go the distance, I'll be more than ready to go to do that.
With say Randy getting up into that UFC debut, does that really as well? Does that help give that? I suppose.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, mate. With your friend going into the UFC, your training partner, your buddy, your partner in crime getting into the UFC as well. Does that kind of, I would say, inspire? But does that help that fire go? Does that say it's there? It can happen. It can. Obviously, some people can get a little bit of disbelief. They think, oh, why is it not happening? Does when that kind of thing happens, or does it give you that kind of urge and that kind of excitement? it can come. I've just got to keep doing what I'm doing to make it, and it'll happen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially when it hits so close to home, because me and Randy, we live together, and so there's countless nights where we've been home, and we'll MMA junkie or whatever. You see like another person get signed, and it's at your weight, and you're like, man, But then when it hits so close to home, it's like, all right, well, it definitely can happen. It definitely will happen. You just got to keep on trucking in the right direction. Got to stay positive, and you just got to stay in the gym.
Exactly, and that's the thing. It's staying positive and just keep doing what you're doing. If you're winning, there's not much more you can do. All you got to do is, just make sure you. I think honestly, I really feel that if you defend the belt, there isn't much more you can do. Unless they get Jose Aldo to pop down the 145 on Titan. I don't know what else they can do.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Well, with you, like I said, mate, you're training outside. Training, obviously, you've been working on things in your game plan, to work on certain specifics. Have you then just been staying with the camp that you're with? Have you been going anywhere else? Have you brought anyone in, mate? What have you done? Because I know with, for example, Rafael dos Anjos works with Scott Curzon, and they work on very specific stuff, and it's with the strength and conditioning and stuff like that. The science of the sport is really starting to come into it. Do you look at anything like that on any aspect on that wavelength?
No, I mean I stay with my camp. We've done well. I would say so far. And I really trust in the guys that I put around me, and really believe in them, and trust that if I listen to them, I'm gonna always come out victorious. Honestly, from the outside looking in, guys may see like I'm 11-0, and they may think that's a big thing, and in all actuality, yeah, it is. But I haven't performed to date nearly as well as I should have. So if I can just factor in and do things the way both my coaches and Keith Trimble, Joe Scarola, if I can go out there and do things the way they know I can do things, it'd be a whole different. All my fights would be completely different.
And you feel like you say, you haven't performed to your best. Is there a reason for that? Is that a psychological thing? Do you feel that when you're in the fight, you get to a position where you're winning, so you're just happy to stay there? Is there a reason why you feel you're not getting that potential out yet?
I wouldn't say that I get there and not coast. I mean, it's a complicated question. I don't really know how to answer that, but I mean, just for one reason or another, things just haven't been put together the way they should have. My goal is to make so that it is. That one of these days I get out there. Not one of these days, but my next fight, I get out there and do exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
I was going to say, because I imagine sometimes your opponent can alter how you perform. From my experience, you go out there with an expectation on how they're going to be, and if they don't do exactly how you're hoping, sometimes it does throw you off. It derails you for a moment. And if you think about it, if you've got a 3-round fight, you've got 15 minutes to quickly change things around and quickly alter it and fix things, and it's a lot to think about and adjust in such a short period of time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to make an adjustment, because if you think about it, fight camp is usually, a month and a half to 2 months.
Yeah.
Right? And so training to do a specific thing, for the duration of that time frame. So to be able to stop and make an adjustment mid-competition is a very, very difficult thing. I don't think like a lot of people who haven't been in the cage, they don't realize that. It takes like great, like all the greats are able to do that. Like average fighters can't. It's very difficult to stop mid-fight and be like, all right, I'm gonna make an adjustment and completely change what I've been doing for the last 2 months. When you get out there, like you said, it's a fight. You don't know what the other person's gonna do. You just have to be able to implement your game plan to the best of your ability to come out on top.
Yeah, I agree. Because, for example, if you're having a fight and you've been drilling a simple combination like a double jab, right straight, because your opponent always steps to the left whenever the double jab is thrown, so you're setting him up for the right straight, and then all of a sudden you're having a fight and you throw the double jab and he steps over to the other side, he steps to the right instead. It's little things like that you have to adjust in the fight, and like you say, that muscle memory kicks in. It is hard to adjust, and sometimes that's the thing that can throw off your game plan. You drill for something and you change.
Definitely.
It is, because you don't know what they've been doing for that month and a half or 2 months, like you say. It is very difficult, and that's the thing about this sport. That's how beautiful the sport is. There's so much in there to take in. Because, like you say, if you got an average Joe off the street who is interested in the sport but doesn't know what a fight camp consists of, and put them through their paces, and not even to the extent of the intensity, but just put them through what is required, they would have a completely different respect and thought process for the fights, I think.
Definitely. I mean, the other day, a gentleman told me that he was willing to go down and spar with some guys because he heard that sparring partners get paid money. And I told him, I said, do you have any, experience in the field? Because it's not something that you just walk up and willingly do, because, you can legitimately get hurt.
Yeah.
It is a fight. I don't know. Some people look at it as it's a competition, and it is in some aspects, but at the end of the day, let's not doing fighting out there. You have somebody out there that's looking and trying to hurt you. And so if you're not ready to defend yourself, you're going to get hurt up until the point that the referee says you've had enough.
Yeah.
And so you have to be ready for anything that can happen, anything that this person has brought. I mean, just the same as I had, you said I fought in September, and I've had some to prep for this fight or whatever fight I probably thought that I had. So did Steven Siler. So there's things that he might have been working on and doing that I'm not sure he's going to do. And vice versa. So we both have to be ready for that element of surprise. We both have to be ready for the one thing that, we've seen pattern-wise in other fights and everything like that. And whoever comes out on top, they're going to come out on top.
You're spot on there, Andre. Exactly. If someone went in and did that sparring, like, Andre, you'll remember the first time someone ever properly leg kicked you in training. I remember it still. It literally, my whole world just fell in on itself. I kind of was like, what just happened? It's crazy. So yeah, if you haven't got the experience, you should not be stepping in to spar with someone if you don't know what it's like to be hit for a start. It's because some people are professionals and they will mess people up. Andre, look, Steven Siler is a hell of a matchup for the Titan FC card, and it's a great way to defend your belt. I think it's an awesome matchup. I cannot wait for this fight, my friend. Now, and it's the 4th of March. You can watch it on UFC Fight Pass. Ladies and gentlemen, you can tune in to watch Mr. Harrison on UFC Fight Pass. You can actually watch his previous bouts on UFC Fight Pass as well on a Titan FC kind of segment that's on there. So you can actually get like an idea of Andre's kind of journey to the title, let's say. But also, if you want to talk to Andre Harrison and wish him well, you can do it on social media. Andre, what's your social media stuff, buddy, so people can jump on?
On Instagram, it's Dre the Bull, MMA 145, and on Facebook, it's just simply Dre the Bull.
There you go. Get on, jump on. Dre the Bull, you heard it here, folks. Jump on, give him a follow, give him a bit of support. And what about your sponsors, mate? You got sponsors out there helping you out?
Yes. I'd like to thank Costa, Species. Let me see. Species. There's times like this where you kind of wish you had one of your shirts handy, so you can just take a little cheap peek at it. What do you call it? Crown. I'd like to thank Crown. David Martin's Body Concepts, and New York. I like to thank them. If I'm missing anybody, I sincerely apologize.
Andre, honestly, I've had many fighters come on and they get caught out by it. Don't worry about it, my friend. It happens. Sometimes there is that many sponsors, it actually is difficult to remember. So, I'm sure, you've mentioned many sponsors before in the past, I'm sure they'll know who they are. What about, obviously, last but not least, you mentioned your coaches before. Do you want to give a shout out to coaches, training partners, friends, family, just people who are supporting and helping you out?
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to thank first and foremost Keith Trimble. Really have a first-time relationship, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Thanks for everything that he's done for me. Joe Scarola, same thing. Definitely thank you for everything. Carlos Rosado, Gregor Gillespie, who is also fighting on March 4th, defending his combat title. Nick Gehrts again fighting March 4th as well. Let me see, Terrence Hill, Dennis Bermudez, Chris Wade, and definitely Randy Brown. I'd like to say thank you for everything. Congrats on your win, man. We'll party it up when I get done with mine.
Hey, look, it sounds like you got a group of guys there peaking at the same time with you as well, which is always a good thing. Seems like there's going to be a lot of positive vibes going down at the gym, all working together for getting the W's. So look, Andre, have a great fight, man. Have a great time on the 4th of March. You know, enjoy yourself with Titan, and look, thank you very much for coming on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Oh, is that Randy Brown with you as well? Is he now just turned up?
Yeah, that's why I told you, man. He just got done with his UFC debut. Am I on this? Yeah.
Well, tell him congratulations on his win, and well done on getting that UFC contract, getting into there, man. Congratulations to him.
All right, thank you, man. Thank you.
No, absolute pleasure, sir. It was. I was watching the fight on the weekend. I was watching the fight card on the weekend. Honestly, sir, it's a great moment for you. And like you say, Andre Harrison, he gets the win against Steven Siler. He's going to be stepping into the UFC. It has to be.
Absolutely. Once he gets him out of there, Andre's next up for sure. I can't wait.
Yeah, great positive vibes going down with you guys. I'm telling you, good things are going to come in 2016 with you and the boys in the camp.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
And you got
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Thanks, guys. We'll speak soon.
All right.
4th of March, Steven Siler, you are going to be fighting on Titan FC against Andre Harrison, and you'll be looking to take the 145 strap off him. Now, one thing about this belt is that at the moment it seems that no one's been able to keep hold of that belt, so you could be keeping that trend going by being the new name of that title holder. I imagine with your win streak that you've been going on, you've got a lot of confidence going into this fight.
Yeah, you know, I've never really not been confident going into a fight. I mean, I've always trusted my skills, and you know, for the most part, they've always been good to me. There's been a few blips where things didn't go my way, but you know, I plan on continuing this win streak and, you know, hopefully make it 6 in a row now.
I was going to say, yeah, it's a good little momentum to come into with this fight. And Andre himself, he's an unbeaten fighter. With an unbeaten record, an opponent who's got an unbeaten record, do you get a little bit more of a will to want to take that? You know, to pop their cherry, so to speak, to be the first loss on their record?
You know what, it doesn't really, being his first loss isn't going to do anything for me. What I'm going to do is, you know, just try to continue my win streak, to continue my path to where I want to be in MMA. And he's in my way, and it happens to give him his first loss, so be it. I'll gladly do it.
Now, obviously, with Andre's style, he will try and, you know, use what he feels is his strength will be his wrestling. He likes to keep a fight close to the grappling. With that being said, is that something that you take note of and will look to address in your fight camp? Is this something that you're focused on at all? Anything you've kind of noted?
You know, obviously I know how good, you know, Harrison's wrestling is. I've been on the same card with him a few times. I think he was like the co-main or something like that the last time we fought in Titan together. I do know, you know, he trains with you know, Dennis from Utis, who I've fought in the past. So, you know, I know what to be prepared for. and I'm sure he knows what to prepare for. So I think we're both trying to, go to each other's games. I know he's gonna try to wrestle me and keep me on my back. My job's to either stay off my back or submit him.
Yeah. Obviously, the ideal situation would be slap a triangle. Thank you very much, bish bash bosh. Now, you like you say, you've had a handful of wins. What was it that you feel kind of turned the corner with getting these wins? Especially, have you finished? I think four of the last 5 wins as well. One was a decision, the rest of them were all finishes. What can you contribute to that kind of turning, getting that win streak back? Is there anything in particular? Do you think it was just at the time things just weren't clicking and then things just fell into place?
The biggest thing is, what I think it is actually getting a job. I got a job now where I work, even though it's just part-time, but it's making it so not every fight's a stressful and win situation where I have to win or I don't make money. Where now I fight because it's fun again.
Yeah.
And, I have a job to pay the bills, and then fighting's just a bonus on top of that. Where I felt my last loss with that Dez, I felt he tried to make the fight boring and just hold me, and I felt like I couldn't make any risk, because if I took any risk, I might get finished, and if I got finished, I would definitely not win. Where I always felt like there's always an opportunity if I didn't get finished to hurry up and catch him, and so I didn't really take any risk, and it really fight up to my potential. Where now, I have money now, I'm not really stressing about whether or not we can make our bills, and so this way I'm able to just have fun, take some risks, and fight how I fight best, and that's what I've been doing my last 5 fights, and it's been paying off.
That's something I think that people don't really know that much about, in the sense of the regional scene. When you're not in the limelight of the likes of UFC, even Bellator, that you're not in these promotions where they're paying the larger lump compared to regional. So people don't know how much these guys make, and even myself, I compete on the regional scene. There isn't a lot of money out there, to be fair. It really is one of them ones where it makes a big difference to win or loss, and like you say, it can put a lot of stress on you. The fight itself, the fighter who you're competing against, there may be no stress, you're confident with your training, but there's that subconscious kind of build-up of, I have to win. That's the problem. It's not winning because I want to win, it's I have to win because of financials, and that can be a really big burden on people when, the fight itself, people should fight themselves. Guys should be getting paid more. Like when you're doing even a 6-week or 8-week camp, you think you're putting weeks of effort in to get paid a small fraction of what effort you're putting in. Like if you look at the correlation between effort and reward, there isn't a lot there, and fighters should be getting paid a bit more, I believe. But we can't change that at the moment. There's nothing we can do. We don't have the power to, and I think that does make a difference, though.
I mean, even when and I hopefully, after this fight, I'm back in the UFC. But even when I do get back into the UFC, I definitely don't plan on never even quitting my job, just because, even back then I was stressing about money, and I was making, decent money in the UFC, where, my advice is everyone that I've trained with that's in the UFC, I'm like, dude, just keep your job, get a part-time job, make some money on the side, so, fighting can continue being fun, because once it becomes a business, it's not that fun anymore.
Yeah, it is something that a lot of guys, I think we've had to have people make mistakes for us to educate the next generation, so to speak, where you've got to say to them, look, go to for young fighters, go to college, go get a degree, do whatever you're doing, get your qualifications, still compete, still do it as a hobby, and at least if you with a good example would be like the NFL. In the NFL, guys who compete in the NFL have actually studied at universities, they've got degrees, and so if their career ended, they could fall into something else, a career afterwards. And the same with fighters, focus on your education still, but also, because if you did accidentally slip and fall and break your leg or pop your hip and that's you done, you have something to fall back on. And that's, a lot of guys put everything in, they go all or nothing, and then they just don't have a plan B, and it's a very dangerous thing to fall into.
Well, another thing people believe is that, you have to be a full-time fighter to be in the UFC, where, in reality, you only train, 4 or 5, 6 hours a day. If you get a part-time job where you just work, a few hours throughout the day, make some extra money. It takes a lot less stress off your shoulders, and plus it gives you a mental break from fighting. You know, it's not bad to be, you know, stressing out about something, not even stressing out, but worrying about something other than fighting, because I mean, you don't fight 24 hours a day, even though it is a lifestyle. It's good to get away from it sometimes. Train when you're in the gym, focus on the fight, but at the same time get away from it and, you know, make that money.
Yeah, it does, man. And obviously, you said that made a big difference. So when you were, did you find then when you were training, did you find yourself more relaxed then? As a, you know, you obviously felt less pressure. Did you just feel you were a lot more fluid and free, and you know, everything just felt a lot better, a lot easier, so to speak?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I'm, you know, laughing a lot more, and you know, doing my own thing. Like now, it's like I'm actually happier sparring. You know, I'm sitting there dancing and singing while sparring. You know, I'm trying to throw people off and have fun with it. You know, and I plan on doing that at the same time when I'm in the cage. You know, I'm gonna, you know, just have fun in there.
And do you know what? That's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Steven does bring a good game, and he's a fun fighter to watch. You know, you are a fun fighter. You're not, like you say, you're not a guy who will try to make a boring fight. You know, you're not someone who will just grab you, hold you against the cage for 3 rounds, and go, that'll do me. I've got to win. Happy days. See you later. You like to, I say entertain, but I think your style just falls into an entertaining category. You know, it's not that you're trying to be entertaining. It's just the way you are as a fighter is entertaining to watch.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I definitely want to be an entertainer, but more importantly, I just want to fight. And that's the reason why I got in the fight business, is to fight, not get dry humped. And, you know, if someone does try to dry hump me, it's my job to get out and make the fight. So, you know, I'm going to do my best to keep doing that. You know, if he takes me down, my job is to get back up, and, you know, I'm going to keep on punching him as much as I can. Yeah,
and I tell you what, Andre Harrison, for him, he feels that, you know, if he's already had Bollinger, Hollowblog, and Green, and if I reckon if he gets your name on his list, and he will feel that that's his recognition of getting into the UFC. So he's got a lot to aim for. But in the same way, you're in that same kind of boat where if you can beat the guy who's not been beaten, you've already made a statement. You beat the guy who's got the belt as well, you've made a statement. I like the matchup because if you look at it externally on the factors that are going to bring it in, I think it makes for a very interesting fight, because the pair of you are going to go in there with a hunger for ultimately the same goal, but there's also little things going into it as well. I really look forward. I really love the matchup. What's going into it is just fascinating.
No, I'm definitely excited. I mean, this is the fight I was asking, you know, the whole matchmaker for when I first contacted them. I'm like, hey, when you guys put on the next show? And they're like, sometime in January, hopefully. And I guess this was a show that got canceled, but I was like, hey, put me on the show. Like, let me fight somebody. And they're like, well, we got these different options, this guy. I'm like, no, screw those guys. I want to go for Harrison. Give me that title shot. You guys think he's boring? I'll make it entertaining. My job is to make it entertaining. So give me the guy. You may think he's boring, but I'll make it exciting.
And do you know what? I think, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get an exciting fight because, like I said to you before, I think Andre Harrison said he wants to make a statement, and you just bring a great fight. So I think there's going to be something in this fight that just is explosive and just something to keep an eye out for. And you can watch it on UFC Fight Pass, ladies and gentlemen. You know, if you haven't got it, like I've said a million times before, there's something wrong with you mentally. You need to go and get help. Go see a doctor. Get Fight Pass. It's cheap as chips. Like Steven said, get a part-time job and you can pay for your Fight Pass with your part-time job. 4th of March,
exactly.
Titan FC 37. You know, you got Andre Harrison, Steven Siler. You know, that belt on the line. It's not just the belt. There's a lot more to it than that, but it's going to be a hell of a fight. Steven, I can't look. I'm thankful that weekend I'm actually free, and I will be watching it live here in the UK. I definitely tune in for the fight cards. Mate, I can't wait for it, honestly. It's going to be a great fight. But before you shoot off and I'll let you go, I know you've got a lifestyle and a life to live. What is, mate, your social media for people to jump on, give you a follow, and just, you know, follow you and give you a bit of support, man?
You know, the only one I really use nowadays is the Twitter @Steve Siler. You know, I do have a Facebook, but I really don't think I've been on my fan page for a little bit, so if you wrote me on that, sorry. I'm not a fan of Facebook. I'll try to be on occasion, but now I just mostly just use my internet for sports. So hit me up on Twitter though at Steve Siler, and yeah.
Hey, do you know what? You should link your Facebook and your Twitter together. Then that way you don't even have to do your Facebook. Then every time you post on Twitter, it'll just go straight onto your Facebook.
Yeah, I should, but I just hate getting notifications because then it distracts me from what I'm doing. And so I'm like, oh, just forget I have a Facebook right now. I'm gonna have fun. I'm trying to watch the game here.
Hey, Super Bowl's coming up as well. I'll be tuning in for that. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, for sure. Watching every game. I don't care if it's soccer, football, basketball. I watch everything.
I'm a sports fan as well, Stephen. And sponsors, man. Have you got sponsors there helping you out and supporting you?
No, man. I just want to, give a big shout. The biggest shout out, I have is to Court McGee. He's been my training partner for, we've been training together for 9 years now. And, we had a gym fallout where the head coach left and basically the entire team. And, some reason me and Court decided to stay back together and just train. And, even after all those wins that I had in a row, I had that busted up elbow from elbowing the guy in the head so much, I kept coming in there and helping him get ready for his last fight. And, he's been doing the same thing for me. No matter what he has booked for him, he puts everything aside to help me train for my fight. So basically just been the two of us getting ready for every fight, and he's been there for us. We've been there for each other. But then we've also been working with another gym called Absolute MMA up in Salt Lake, and give a big shout out to them too for helping me out getting ready for my fights as well.
Court McGee, I tell you what, he is a fascinating character with a great story behind him as a person, and I love watching him get in the cage. I love seeing him progress as a person as well. It's a beautiful thing to watch.
I couldn't agree more.
Hey, look, Stephen, like I said, have a great weekend. Enjoy the whole time, man. It's going to be a hell of a fight on the 4th of March. Enjoy your fight camp.
I appreciate it.
I can't wait to see it, and I know everyone else will be tuning in. I know everyone else is excited too, man. So thank you very much, Stephen, for coming on, just giving us a quick time for a chin wag and a chat.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy. Okay, well, there you are. That was Andre and Stephen. Lovely having them on. I enjoyed talking to them. Now I'm going to talk about just a couple of fights from the last UFC, the UFC card that we had recently with the Johnny Hendricks and Stephen Thompson as the main event. Josh Burkman, KJ Noons happened. Josh Burkman going down 155 it's a talking point worth mentioning because it's very surprising with guys in their latter stages of their career to be dropping a weight class because it's harder to cut weight because of the metabolism and it's just hard on the body. So Burkman showed, I think it was something like 18 pounds he cut or something like that in 24 hours. He got a horrendous amount. Okay, he just found it hard to cut the weight down, but come fight day he was 180 pounds and 155 division. That's a good way to be, but the problem is, can he keep that up? He's going to be old, and next time he fights, who knows when he's fighting next? They probably know he's not going to be fighting for a title, so they won't be pushing him to get some fights coming up. KJ Noons, I think you might see him on the next list to get cut. KJ Noons, he'll probably go to Bellator. He'll have some fun fights in Bellator. I can really see him going off to that in that direction. Next up, I'm going to mention about Joseph Benavidez, flyweight division. Zach Makowski, Benavidez getting the win, getting that kind of cementing that place as they always going to be the bridesmaid, never going to be the bride. That number 2 guy, he's always going to be there. Sadly, he just can't beat Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Johnson's the guy that's in his way. But Benavidez is basically he beats everyone else put in front of him. I am gutted that Demetrius Johnson, John Dobson went up. I think that fight would have been probably the best fight for Benavidez out there. I don't know what they're going to do with him now. I really don't. I don't know. After that fight, I don't know who they put him up with. Another fight, interesting one, was OSP against Cavalcante. You'll see probably Cavalcante get cut after this loss. OSP went over on his ankle. Similar, it reminded me that the look of it was kind of like when Ryan Jimmo competed against Jimmy Manuwa, and he just went over on his ankle, hurt maybe tendons, ligaments. We don't know what the extent is. I have reached out to OSP to find out how his ankle's doing. Fingers crossed it's not something long term, because OSP, again, he's one of them ones that he's just shy of the kind of top echelon in that light heavyweight division. but it's not to say he can't make it. He just seems to always fall short of late. In the heavyweight division, I'm going to skip to Gerard Rosholt has finally been stopped by a man in Roy Nelson. Roy Nelson got the win as well, which was huge for Roy Nelson. I think his record off the top of my head was 1-5 in his past 6 bouts in the UFC. So great win for Roy Nelson to keep ticking over the UFC, keep sticking in with the promotion. And for Rosholt, it showed, in that bout, he was stuck because he couldn't get the takedown in. He was kept away with the hands of Roy Nelson, and it was not the kind of fight Rosholt wants to have. He does not want to have a standing fight because he's not a very good striker. It's as simple as that. His bread and butter is getting you on the ground, and Roy Nelson was able to really just keep him away from it. So I was utterly impressed with Roy Nelson doing the right thing to get past Rosholt. Moving on to the main event. The main event was an absolute shocker. And what I mean by a shocker was, it was hard to call a fight, but the way the fight went down, I don't think anyone could have predicted that, really. Stephen Thompson finishing Johnny Hendricks in the first round. It was insane. Absolutely mind-blowing. I knew Stephen Thompson had that advantage with the large cage, moving around with his footwork and placement. He ended up just really catching Johnny Hendricks. Some people will sit there and go, Johnny Hendricks didn't look good, etc., etc. At the end of the day, Johnny Hendricks is a guy who's fought in championship fights before. He's been there. He's had injuries, problems, bicep tears, etc. He's had to grind through tough situations to get either victories or finish in certain positions. This is no different. If he looked back, he didn't look good, he was fine to fight. He was physically fit and able to fight. I personally think that Stephen Thompson is a legitimate contender, and he really is now. And do you know what? Hats off to him. Hats off to the lad. I'm very impressed and very happy with what he did. That event in itself, it actually did really good numbers when ratings came out as well. It was an okay card. Like I said, it was the pay-per-view card that got knocked down to Fight Night card due to the fact that Kane and Verdum kind of were both injured, apparently. So, now, I'm going to move on to our next two guests. Our next two guests are going to be, I'll pick Steven Haag and Freddie Walker. Steven Haag is taking on Nick Gehrts, who we had on last week, and we spoke to him, and actually Freddie Walker is taking on Austin Childers, who we had on last week as well. So these two gentlemen, we've basically got the oppositions on now for this week. So here is Steven, and what I'll do is I'll put on Freddie just after as well. Steven, you are joining me right now. Thank you first for doing this. You're taking on Nick Gehrts at the main event at Valor Fights. It must feel good being the main event and all that. Do you feel any pressure with being the main event, the headline act?
No more than normal. Trained hard for the fight, very excited for the fight. Worst part's getting weigh-ins and stuff over with. So I'm excited to get the weigh-ins over with and get there on Saturday and perform.
Well, with your opponent, Nick, the pair of you are both... The thing is, what's good about this match is, I think this might be a fight that stays on the feet because you're both grappling monsters, the best way to put it. Do you feel that might be a case of this? Because both of you are very good at grappling side of things. You might cancel each other out in getting to the grappling stages.
Yeah, very good possibility. Nick's a solid guy, got good stand-up, good solid ground. We've trained hard everywhere where this fight could possibly take place, and so we feel comfortable and confident wherever it goes.
Now, with having a stronger grappling, does that mean you're a bit more confident with your to let loose with your striking because you have that grappling to fall back upon?
Yeah, I feel like I can open up a little bit more. If I get taken down, I'm still very confident on the ground. So if something happens, he gets a takedown, I'm still going to feel fine and still feel relaxed.
Is this how you started with your MMA career? Did you start with grappling, or is this just grappling? Was that the magnet that pulled you in? Because some people love the Muay Thai aspect, some people like the grappling. Was it the grappling that took you more than any of the other aspects of the sport?
It was. Actually, I started in Kempo Karate back in 2003.
my black belt in it in 2006. And the instructor at the time had just introduced a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu program into the location that we was in. And he said if I wanted to do it, I was more than welcome to. And once I started, I fell in love with it. Started competing a lot on the grappling circuit, and once I think I had my purple belt at the time before I actually had my first amateur MMA fight. Ended up getting my purple belt, and I went and had my first MMA fight down in Georgia. But yeah, the grappling's definitely what drew me to the MMA side of it.
And are you a gi or no gi person?
I like the gi. Yeah, big fan of the gi.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, some prefer one or the other. Now, with the gi, so I've heard from fighters that they say they find it helps them with the MMA, but in my head, I competed, and I found that I never wanted to try the gi, because I thought, well, I never want to get in that habit of having to grab a gi, so is that what you find? Do you find that it helps you with the non-gi stuff, as in having a grappling match?
I feel it does. Of course, working the gi, it's going to work your grips quite a bit more. Just hang on to the collars and things like that. Normally, a couple months out, I'll start taking the gi off, start doing some no-gi stuff, and that'll actually better prepare for the event.
Yeah, do you find that doing the grappling competitions, it definitely raised your game within MMA bouts?
I do. The grappling competition, I think, helped out quite a bit. Of course, there's no experience like getting in there and actually competing in the MMA side of things, but I think the grappling's helped with my confidence and helped with the nerves quite a bit as far as me performing in the MMA.
And am I right in saying that your full-time vocation is being a police officer?
It is, yes, sir.
Now, with having the martial arts training, do you feel that makes you more? Do you think that the pair of them work together well? The job that you have and being a martial artist. Do you think that they kind of work well together? Because martial arts, it's about respect, discipline. Do you think the two jobs that you have kind of link in well?
I think it can. Of course, in martial arts, discipline, respect, all the things you're talking about. Same thing on the job. You got to treat everybody the same. Treat everybody with respect, and pretty much treat them the way you want to be treated.
I think that I tell people that martial arts filters down into your day-to-day life. It should do anyway. And the fact that you're in a role that kind of really has a lot of links to it with that kind of, the ethos of mixed martial arts, martial arts in general. With that, have you found that people recognise you from being a police officer? Have people recognise that you do the martial arts as well?
Yeah, I think so. We actually we had a call a while back, and ended up having to arrest a guy, take the guy to jail, and of course he recognized me from my fighting and my MMA. So
I probably puts his hands out straight away. Just handcuff me, don't touch me. Now, Steven, you're a man of, respect with the role that you've got. You've got the grappling skills. Is there any areas of your aspects with the martial arts? Because you, like I say, you did the Kempo karate, so your stand-up, you've got a good base for stand-up already. You've got that. Is there anything in particular that you're wanting to evolve and develop? Because you're still early in your MMA career, of course. And if there is, have you thought about maybe going off to some of the bigger camps, let's say, your Glory MMA, TriStar, those kind of Jacksons? Have you thought about doing any of that stuff in, maybe like for a week or two?
Yeah, right now, of course, I definitely like to work on my striking, improve my striking, a little bit more. Right now, you're just taking, one fight at a time, and just kind of seeing where it goes from there. Right now, after this fight, I have no plans. 100% focus on this fight, and we'll see what happens after this one.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a good idea. Yeah, some guys, they're happy within the gym that they're at and where they're training. But I always think it's good to every now and then just go somewhere else. It's like a refresher. I find the new coaches, new ideas, new angles, new people to roll against, spar with. It's always good to evolve yourself as a fighter, really, and put yourself sometimes out your comfort zone.
Yeah, I've been, of course, doing the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the same individual since I started, and recently branched out, started doing some cross training up at Fit Factory with Gene Click and Billy Mullins, and then also up at The Evil in Johnson City with Justin Walden, Adam Townsend, JP, and all those guys. So branching out, they've been helping me out a lot. So I think it's going to help going into this fight.
Yeah, I think it will as well. It's a good idea to do that, Steve. Honestly, I think it helps fighters. They maybe at first they don't realise it, but they always get something to take away from it when they get back. Stephen, look, the fight's going down at Valor Fights. People who have not got a ticket, they can go onto the Valor website page. You can get tickets via there. You can also stream it on their website. You go on there, there's links, etc. But before all that, Stephen, if people want to jump on social media, give you a follow before your fight, even maybe just to get to know you a bit better and follow your kind of venture in this pro MMA ranks, what's your kind of links that you've got, if you have any?
Yes, I got a Facebook page set up. It's Steven Haag, MMA fighter. You can go ahead and check it out. Of course, I've got all my sponsors and stuff listed up there. Upcoming bouts, upcoming grappling competitions and stuff I'll be competing in, and things like that.
Awesome stuff. Jump on his Facebook page. In regards to sponsors, do you want to give any of them a shout out right now?
Yes. First, I want to give a shout out to my teams. Phil Hurst, Victory Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Fit Factory with Gene Click, Billy Mullins, the Evil Fight Team. Big thanks to Dustin Walden, Adam Townsend, and JP. For my sponsors, I want to thank Avalon Fitness Center, Fortress Fitness Kickboxing, 423 Strength and Conditioning, Make Yourself Tattoo, Robert Otto Sales, and Grips Athletics.
Awesome stuff. And obviously, give thanks to anyone that's coming to the fight to watch you, of course, as well. Any fans and friends and family.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Big thanks for the support of my friends and family. We usually, have a really good turnout for people that's coming to watch on my side. So thanks for all the support.
Stephen, have a great time. Enjoy your experience. Enjoy the whole weekend. Have a great fight against Nick. And thank you very much for giving me some time to talk.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Freddie Walker, thank you very much, sir, firstly, for coming on, having a little chat with us. You're taking on Austin Childers, and I would say it's a double whammy, this fight. I call it a double whammy because there's not just one thing you can win. You can move on to something greater as well. You can defend your belt, the 135 title, which is a good thing. So that's a defense of the titles it's always a good accolade to have. But also you can move on to the next round of the UMAF qualifiers to get yourself to, I think it's Arizona the next round is, and then you go into Vegas.
Yeah, which that's a big opportunity too for me and my gym and everybody. So, I've been looking forward to that since Tim, told us all about that. So I'm really looking forward to that one a lot. Get the opportunity to go fight somewhere, outside of the States.
I was going to say that what the UMAF, what they're doing with the amateur scene, it's great, because like you said there, straight away you get to go and compete in a different state, and also you just get a new exposure to the to the MMA scene. Your name gets out there a bit more, and it gets you a new kind of, it raises the level, so to speak, of amateur fighting, because you guys will be a bit more well-rounded, fighting different guys around the country, and then goes to the World Championships. You fight guys all around the world. You get an idea of where you are as a fighter as well. It's a great idea, and I love what they're doing.
Yeah, most definitely, yeah. Because that's like the big thing too. Is going to get to fight at other places to see how you stack up with everybody else. Like the other competition out west or anywhere else around North America and stuff.
Now, your opponent, Austin, going into the fight, do you look at, or do your coaches even, do yourself or your coaches, do they look at the footage of Austin, or do you just like to go into the fight yourself, not doing any research? Do you like to just go and see how it plays out? You know, you go with your game plan, your style of fighting, how you like to be, and then you just react to what he brings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too big about watching film on like the other fighters. I kind of just always focus on what I got to do. You know, I mean, like my coaches and stuff, they've watched some film on him and everything like that. But I mean, we just never really dig too deep into it. You know, they know what I'm good at, and that's what we just kind of always focus on is what I got to do. You know, go out there and just fight my fight. Saturday night.
You've got Corey, your training partner, on the card as well. Does it help? Do you find it helps having someone who you train with being on the same card as you? You know, you train together. You both kind of peak at the same time, basically. So, do you find that kind of helps because you've got someone with the same mindset as you? Because they've got that. It's a different focus when you've got to fight as to when you haven't got to fight when you train.
Yeah, I mean, because I've fought before on times where it's just like I've been the only one from our gym fighting on that card, and this time, you know, I got Corey on the same card with me. So, yeah, like you said, like it does help a lot when you have somebody else, you know, peeking at like same time you do during your camps, you know, getting rounds in with you, you know, just knowing that you have somebody that's going to be from your gym fighting with you on like the same night does help quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it helps as well because, like I say, there is different mentality because when you're, for example, when you're sparring, where you're doing, you know, rolling, when you're doing the submission, when you're doing it with guys who haven't got a fight coming up, they're not going to have that slight bit more intensity than someone who has got a fight on. So they're not going to fight back as much. Where you need to have people that have that bit to want to fight back more. You need someone to have a bit more aggression to it so that you can get ready for when you fight. Because the guy you're going to fight against, he's going to probably fight back a bit more. He's going to be, you know, he's going to be fighting tooth and nail to get that inch before you, so to speak, and get that underhook in before you. But when you roll with guys who...
exactly.
Yeah, it does make a difference.
Yeah, it does. And like you said, like you got somebody else that, you know, they got to push themselves too, you know, so you got somebody that's, you know, trying to push themselves and get better if they like the camp too. So it just kind of makes you like a better fighter by the time, you know, fight weeks here. So
having the title and defending it, then do you think that you have a bit more of a responsibility as a fighter? Then you're not in the pro ranks yet, but do you think it helps build that character for when you get to the pro ranks of that professionalism? Being a champion, you got to have a certain mannerism and you got to behave in a certain way. It doesn't just in the cage. Do you feel it helps you outside of the cage as well?
Yeah, I mean, like I think it does kind of help you outside of the cage some too. And I mean, I don't really, you know, like think about having the belt, like, you know, like overthink it too much. But I mean, yeah, I mean, like I just think it does kind of help, you know, because I got to, you know, kind of, you know, because I'm the Valor 135-pound champ right now, and that's kind of means, you know, like a lot to me and my gym and everything. So
yeah, because you can't. What I mean by that is because you've got this, you know, you got this championship belt. You're the champion. You don't want to go around with a certain demeanor outside of the cage because it can it'll have a bad reflection. You know, they don't want to say, oh, but you know, he goes out on a Saturday night, he'll drink X, Y, and Z bottles of bud. He just swears and he's aggressive, etc. You know, you carry yourself. I think stuff like that makes you carry yourself a bit differently as well.
Yeah.
Now, the fight against Austin, I think it's, like I say, I like the fact that they're putting this qualifier together because, like I say, it's a double whammy. Do you think about that at all? Do you think to yourself, I've got to defend my belt and I've got to win because I've got to get this opportunity? Or do you just set that kind of, I don't say pressure, but do you set that kind of aside and then just focus purely on the fight and ignore the external bits that are going to come, the rewards that will come from the win?
Yeah, I mean, I've not been overthinking it like too much. I was kind of go with the flow with it right now. Where I've just been focusing week by week, you know, focusing on what I have to do in the gym to get ready. And and I've talked to my coaches about this. You know, if we whenever we win this fight, if we're going to go on and fight in like qualifying rounds and stuff. So, we kind of talked about it some, and it does kind of put some pressure on me, but I don't really let it get to me at all, really. I just kind of, like I said, take it 1 week at a time in camp, and that's what I've been doing.
Well, that's the thing, because it's the amateur ranks. This is your learning time. It's time for you to make mistakes. Time for you to grow as a fighter. Time to learn your style, to learn your trade, and it is just literally one big learning curve. The amateur ranks.
Oh yeah, most definitely, man.
So yeah, because there is a slight bit of pressure, because of course you'd like to go and have a good record. You'd like to go and smash it before you potentially go up to the pro ranks, but it is a bit more of, for me, it reminds me of college football, where college football, they do the riskier things. They take more chances with certain plays. They're fourth and one. They're probably going to go for it, and they'll do a crazy little play to make it happen. Whereas with the NFL, a lot of times they'll just play it safe, 4th and 1, we're going to punt it, kick it, and just carry on. And that's what I kind of feel the amateur ranks now. That's what I kind of link it up to.
Yeah, that's how I think a good analogy for it, I think, too, because, as you're an amateur fighter, you're still trying to figure out, how you match up with people, what your fight game is, what you want to do in fights, how you go out there and everything like that. When you finally evolve as a fighter, is when you want to take that next step and become a pro.
Now, being at 135, will you stay at 135 when you go pro? Because obviously the weight cutting issue is a huge part of the sport. It seems a huge discussion. They got the IV bans kicking in. A lot of promotions are eventually looking at a plan to kind of adopt where guys can't do big weight cuts.
Yeah, I saw where all that, the IV bans and stuff. I don't really have that bad of a problem at all with making 135. Dieting, as long as you diet and stuff, do everything like you're supposed to do. You can make weight. It still sucks, but it's like I've never really had that bad of a problem making 135.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I do go pro, then I'm definitely staying the 135 is definitely the weight class for me right now. So.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of point, because a lot of people would, in the amateur ranks, a lot of guys are a weight class above what they'd want to be when they go pro. But with all this stuff that's happening with the weight cutting sagas, even commissions are looking to stop people from doing large weight cuts with percentages and stuff like that. I think that would change. I think that's going to have an effect on the amateur scene, where guys who maybe fight, like you say, you're 135, they're going to be 135 when they go pro, or guys that are fighting at 205, they're not going to go to 185 anymore. They're going to stick at 205 and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you've seen already, the bigger name guys have already had a lot of problems making weight since the IV ban and stuff came into effect. And I think since they're going to be doing, they were talking about doing a hydration test the day of the weigh-in, so I think you're going to see that more and more, the guys that cut 30 to 40 pounds to make weight, or I don't think we're going to be seeing that too much longer.
Do you know what? I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for it. The most I've cut was 20 pounds in 2 weeks. And that's the most I've cut. And I tell you what, I didn't enjoy that at all. But Tim Boach and Ed Herman, they went up to light heavyweight. They've stopped cutting now down to 185.
Yeah. You've seen them both move up, and I think I'll see a lot of the other 170 guys, the Johnny Hendricks, and then probably move up 185 and fight. So that's all this stuff's been happening too. Yeah,
I think Johnny should be 185 as well. He was always cutting too much, and he did talk about going to 185 at some point. I think he should be going to 185 anyway. He probably should have done it sooner. Because the thing is, a big factor is age comes in. Josh Berkman's cutting down to 155, and he even said he cut huge amount of weight to get to 155 in this KJ.
Was it 18 pounds in 24 hours, he said?
Yeah, obscene. It's a stupid amount of weight, that is.
Yes, that is ridiculous, man. Yeah.
And the big factor is age. His age is playing against him, because the metabolism is slower. It's harder to make that weight come off, and he needs to understand that. He maybe needs to look at getting his weight down naturally and walking around a lighter weight. Because he said, he weighed 180, the day of the fight. I said, yeah, but your body's not going to let you keep doing that at that age. In 4 months' time, you'll be 4 months older, man. He's got to be walking lighter.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's got to do a lot of wear and tear on him, especially with him being as old as he is too. So yeah, so I think that the IV bands and everything else is a good step for the sport.
It is.
I think that they're going in the right direction with it.
Yeah, especially after that, the fighter who passed away for that ONE FC card after he weighed in.
ONE FC,
yeah. Yeah, well, they're called ONE now, not even ONE FC, but I call them ONE FC anyway. But yeah, I think. Do you know what the annoying thing is? In life, we need something like that to happen for action to happen, and it's not what you want. But sadly, something like that had to happen for promotions to really stand up and go, yeah, we probably need to look at this a bit more seriously. It's a shame because it shouldn't have had to happen.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would have done what they did unless someone did die.
I mean, did they say what caused all that too? I mean,
just a
I
massive.
didn't know if the guy was trying to cut way too much at once or what.
Yeah, it was just massive dehydration. Just cut too much weight, because you dehydrate the brain. You take away the fluids from the brain, and that's enough in itself to kill you.
Yeah, I know. That's why you gotta stick with a good diet. Do it right, not try to cut all the weight at once like all these guys do.
Yeah. I think I caught...
The worst part of this, man, is the big diet for me, because I love junk food and everything like that. You gotta cut all that out, They're like the fight camp. Yeah,
man, I'm with you. I can't... it's hard to say no to cake.
Yes.
But, yeah, man, I think I cut 10 pounds in one night. That was 24 hours. 10 pounds the most I've done in 24 hours. And even that was just not... That wasn't fun. My body did not. My body didn't like me for doing that. So yeah, 20 in 2 weeks and then 10 pounds and £10 to finish it off was the last 10 pounds was the night before, and that was just that was horrible. But yeah, it's a situation that's gonna get sorted. But anyway, we're digressing. We're gonna go back. You're fighting. You defended a belt. You got a chance to go to progress on to the next stage of qualifiers to get yourself up to Vegas for UFC Fight Week to compete in the World Championships, which would be a great kind of next step in your career, great experience.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to go through Austin Childers first. That's all at Valor Fights. Now, before this all kicks off, how can people jump on social media to give you a follow?
If they want to follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, it's at Namderf88.
Okay, and what about your sponsors or anything like that?
Just want to thank everybody from Team NKI, all the teams that been there and gym every day with me, push me, beat me up in practice, get me ready for the fight.
Well, do you know what? You've got yourself and Corey fighting. I'm sure you guys are going to have a great time, a great experience. And look, enjoy yourself, and thank you very much for coming on to talk with me.
All right, thank you.
And there was Steven and Freddie. Again, they're taking on Steven's taking on Nick, and Freddie's taking on Austin. They're on Valor Fights. Fingers crossed that deal gets signed with Fight Pass soon enough. Then the history and the backlog will go on to Fight Pass. You'll be able to watch the fights if you can't watch them live. And we're going to move on now. I just want to talk about some of the recent kind of goings-ons that's happened, and information's been released, and news that's come out, and little bits like that. I want to touch on... I'll start with Cage Warriors. Cage Warriors, a little bit more details come out. 15th of April, the promotion is happening down in London. It's great news. It's awesome that it's happening, and it's just what I think the MMA community needed. Now, the next thing is the rumours on who's going to be on there, who's going to fight on that card. And it's a huge card to have on for the first one. You're going to have great fights, but what they've said is they're going to have some Cage Warrior veterans and new talent, and that's the idea. They got to bring in the new wave. That's what Cage Warriors did. They built names up. Rumour has it that we will see Paddy Pimblett potentially against Ashley Grimshaw as a main event. I don't mind that main event, but personally, I would like to maybe see a welterweight title fight with, who would I say? Who would I want in it? Lewis Long. I'm not sure who would have as an opponent for him. There are a handful of guys out there in the UK and European possibly scene that they could match Lewis Long up with. I think Lewis Long's been on a tear. If he doesn't get taken up by the UFC anytime soon, I'll be surprised. So yeah, I would like to see what happens on that one. So we're going to move on to the next little bit is Edmund Taverdyan. He's known, the man who's basically Ronda Rousey's coach. He's been having a bit of difficulty with these bankruptcy kind of appeals or hearings, they're called. He's had 2 hearings and they're recorded, and it's a great piece by Bloody Elbow. I have put it on our Facebook page. Great work done by Paul Gift, and again, I can't take my hat off to this man more than enough. What goes on there is unbelievable. Edmund is under oath on both occasions, and both times there is a contrast in his answers given, and his excuses just seem poor. For a fully grown man, he seems to have the worst kind of... It's almost like he's saying, "Ooh, look, there's a pink giraffe behind you," and runs away. It's quintessentially what he is doing. He's got a really kind of naive, awful way of lying, and he needs to just own up to the fact that he's probably got money stashed away, he's swindling the government in some way, but he's not. And do you know what the problem is? The ground is literally slowly just swallowing him beneath his feet. He will come out and he will get his own comeuppance, because I'm not happy about what's going on here. How this doesn't affect his people that he's coaching is beyond me. He says he doesn't coach at the Glendale gym, even though there's countable an array of images of him in the gym coaching. I just don't know. I just don't know I don't know what to say about this guy anymore. You know, I wouldn't even entertain having him on here, if I'm honest with you. Even if I was given a chance, I just don't have the interest with him, to be honest with you. But we're going to move on to Bellator. They're making a good move in the welterweight division. Welterweight. I'm lying there. The flyweight division. Okay, Bellator are signing 3 new women in their flyweight division. They've signed Bruna Ellen, Bruna Vargas, and Kenya Miranda. Okay, to exclusive contracts to their Bellator. And you know what? They're not girls that you'll sit there immediately and say, "Oh, I know them." Some people will, some people won't. But they're making a good start by getting names on the roster and building these girls up. That's what you got to do. They're going to build their stars within the promotion rather than trying to bring people in. And the flyweight division, it's not a division that everyone will know about. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Bellator. They're making some good signings again with their heavyweight division. And recently they got the Benson Henderson deal. They're making a handful of signings here and there. I can't wait to see maybe what's going to be coming around the corner with some other fighters, like we said, UFC fighters with their contracts. Aljamain Sterling announced that this coming Monday with Ariel Helwani, probably on the MMA Hour, he's going to announce who he signed his contract with. Is it UFC? Is it Bellator? I don't know. Potentially it's UFC from the rumours, but we'll find out. Like I said before, CM Punk, wow. Okay. Yeah, CM Punk is a good one. He's injured again, and he's out of the proposed match, and it's delayed, and it's back in. He's got a back injury now, and he's having a bit of surgery on it. I'm starting to get to the point where I really am losing any interest in CM Punk at all. You know, fighting now in the UFC. At first, I was thinking, yeah, I'd love to see him fight someone like Bisping if it was 185, if it was 170. Yeah, put him against someone like, I don't know, Stephen Thompson at the time. Now, I don't care who he fights. I'm not arsed. He's fighting a newcomer, like, say, Ricky and Ngol, and he's made, I think he's had 1-2 fights off something. Sorry. I'm again, not that interested in it. I'm going to finish off with more talking about a rematch. John Jones, Daniel Cormier 2 has been set. Okay. It's happening in a few weeks. And I believe you will see John Jones beat Daniel Cormier, get his belt back, and it'll be him versus Anthony Johnson at UFC 200. Look out for that. I can see that happening. It's a big card, and that's a big fight to make. Everyone wants to see John Jones and Johnson. Like I said, the co-main event is Demetrius Johnson. His title is on the line against Henry Cejudo. Again, the Olympic gold medalist. He's 3-0 in the UFC. He's done okay. I don't, though, believe he is of the caliber enough to beat Demetrius Johnson. I know Holly Holm's done it, and anything can happen with underdogs, but I just don't see how he's going to get... He's not quick enough. He's not smart enough. I spoke with Ian McCall about this. We both agreed. Henry Cejudo's just not the man for that job. I don't know who is at the moment for Demetrius Johnson. I was questioning about a potential super fight with Dominic Cruz, a rematch. Both champions, it's a good one. I don't know what they're going to do. We'll see what happens. I'm going to finish off, though, with 2 more guests, and then that'll be it for this week. I'm going to start with Corey Browning, who's taking on Randy Stamey, and we're going to have Gavin Walker, who's taking on Justin Goodin. And these guys are on the Valor card coming up on the 13th of February. Great time just before their Valentine's weekend, so to speak. So here is the gentleman just for you now. Corey Browning, you are joining me right now. Now, we are going to talk, sir, about your fight coming up against Randy Stamey. Now, this fight itself, it's not bad. It's kind of exciting fight, being a co-main event for a start, and there's a little bit more to it than that as well.
What?
There's a little bit more to the fight than just being the co-main event. There's a little bit of silverware, I believe. Is it for the 155 belt?
No, it's actually a catchweight fight at 150. Me and Randy Stamey were actually matched out to fight once before, as amateurs, and we were in a Grand Prix tournament at 155, and I don't know what happened, but I ended up switching opponents. But Randy Stamey is supposed to be a real technical stand-up guy, and I want to test my stand-up against a technical guy. So, I don't know, I kind of asked for the fight. In a way, my coaches wanted the fight too, so, I mean, it just worked out.
Is this the 8-man tournament that you had, was it? The one that you won? Is this when you were meant to fight Randy?
Oh, yeah, it was the Grand Prix that I won. The one where, the opponent that I switched to was Kyle Jones. I only fought twice in that tournament. And the second fight in that tournament ended up being postponed because I injured my hand in that fight pretty bad. I got a strategical band injury, boxer's knuckle. Yeah. And it wouldn't heal for some reason. It just didn't want to heal. My knuckle kept moving around, and it was painful for about 6 months.
Yeah, those injuries. It's a common. The problem is with the MMA gloves. It's a 4-ounce glove. That's the issue. So basically, they call it a boxer's fracture. It's very common for it to happen, especially when you throw the punch clean, and if their head is slightly moves, it changes the punch completely, and the breakage can happen. Did you have to have any surgery on the hand, or has it just healed itself naturally?
Actually, I could still feel some minor symptoms from it every now and then.
Yeah.
Because it was actually my left hand. Wasn't my right. I'm a right-handed fighter. But it was, what happened was I came at him, kind of sideways, because I had him mount, and he was trying to sit up, and it just, I more, kind of grinded his forehead with my knuckle.
Right.
Instead of hitting him. And it just knocked the band off, it ripped something in there, and I didn't have to have surgery, but I did have to take care of it for a while. And it actually made me weary too, because in the next fight right after that, I hurt my other knuckle. So yeah, the 4-ounce gloves, they're pretty much there just for your hands. I
my hands, they don't tolerate my punching power as well as I would like them to, though. I mean, because that was a clean hit in the second fight that hurt my hands, and there was no, I didn't go to the doctor, so I didn't get the official diagnosis, but it wasn't really, it felt like it was just a bruised knuckle, but it was, I mean, it hurt for probably a good solid year. I still feel symptoms in my left hand, but it's measurable in my right hand, and symptoms kind of they're pretty much gone. But, it's, I don't know. Do I want to keep trying to hit people as hard as I can in the head? Maybe not. Maybe I'll try to find different ways to win.
So, do you think that maybe... I know that the 4-ounce gloves sometimes I found when I've competed myself that some 4-ounce gloves that you get given by the promotions, not the promotion, sorry, I'll say the design of it, the designs, they are all slightly different. I've had some where the padding on the glove is behind the knuckle. It's more on top of the hand rather than across the knuckle and just below the fingers. Some designs of the gloves, the spacing of the padding isn't very much. Another factor is it's hand wrapping. The way the hands are wrapped can make a big difference as well. Some guys, if they're not, the taping isn't done right, it can make a huge difference. Some fighters, if they are, if you're heavy-handed, guys can have a different there's a different method of taping the hands up. Have you tried to experiment maybe with different taping and stuff since then?
I didn't know I was heavy-handed when I was doing this. I mean, when I fought Kyle Jones, it was my second MMA fight, so I really had no idea, and I hadn't really done a ton of training before that. And even though when you're training, you're wearing kickboxing gloves, so your hand is way more protected.
Oh yeah, you can. Yeah.
So really, it was a new experience hurting my hands, because I mean, it was almost a regular thing to hurt my hands in a fight. So, I've had my hands wrapped several different ways, but the problem is I really haven't connected that cleanly since. My fourth fight was a pretty big ground battle, and in my fifth fight, I had finally settled down at a gym, and they wanted me to try and get a takedown and work my jiu-jitsu, because when I started training there, my ground game was actually pretty good, and they were somewhat impressed with it, so they wanted me to try and go for a submission, but that just doesn't really suit my style when I'm in the cage. I mean, I'm a very instinctual. I rely on my instincts and my athleticism more than I rely on my technical ability. Just the way I am. I mean, if it works for me so far, it's going to be really hard to break the habit. So
yeah. You
I don't try to go in with too much of I'm going to do this specifically. Even though I went into the fight thinking, okay, I'm going to take him down and I'm going to submit him. That's going to be my goal. That's going to be my game plan. I even got as far as getting him inside control. It didn't. I was thinking too much about what I was going to do next, and I wasn't really focused on what he was doing at the moment. I got clipped. That was my one loss.
Do you know what that is? I've experienced that when I've competed as well, where you're overthinking what you should be doing when it's more of a case it should just naturally be happening, so that there is a delay, like you say, that when you start to think about what to do, it's crazy that it's a fraction of, it's only a fraction of a second sometimes, but your opponent can do a lot in that small amount of time, and then you're playing catch up again, and stuff like that happens. It's crazy how much sometimes you overthink in a fight.
Yeah, I mean, you're your own worst enemy at that point,
Yeah.
Since then, I haven't really gone in thinking too much of what I'm going to try and do to win, and just thinking, I go in thinking, I'm just going to destroy this guy.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about a game plan against Randy Stamey. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to handle this guy. I'm going to handle whatever he's got.
And you said that you wanted to fight with him. Is that because like you say, because he's good with it? He's good technically with his hands. Are you like for yourself? Are you wanting to have that on your record in a sense of for your personal preference that someone who's good with the hands, someone maybe who's a good wrestler, someone who's a good submission artist. Are you looking to get someone individually who's skilled at each thing so you can kind of test yourself at that level of their game?
No, for sure. I mean, because Randy Stamey, his losses usually come from being submitted. He doesn't get beat in the stand-up, really. So what I want to do is I want to go beat him in stand-up, and I want to fight a wrestler, and I'm going to let him wrestle me, and I want to beat him doing that. I mean, I don't know, when I fight people, I really throw them off guard because, I'm not afraid to fight them where they're good.
It does. Do you know what? As well, it helps you. It helps you when you do fight because you get an idea of where you are. Then, don't you? I think it's a beneficial thing for yourself.
Yes, it's huge. It's a big confidence booster too. So you know where you're at. You know what you can handle, and then on top of that, you get the confidence. You're not going to be afraid of the next wrestler you fight.
Yeah.
Or the next, kickboxer or. Whatever. I mean, because it's still a symptom in MMA that people are really good at one thing, whether it be stand-up, wrestling, or jiu-jitsu, submissions. And, the other stuff is, good or mediocre. And I don't want to be like that. I want to be good everywhere. So, I started off doing jiu-jitsu first. I did jiu-jitsu for a couple of years before I ever took an MMA fight. I really didn't take much kickboxing at all. And then if you watch my first MMA fight, you'll see jiu-jitsu won that match for me. My big hits, and I do a lot of jiu-jitsu in my second fight too, but my big hits were really on my stand-up. You can tell it's obviously not technical. I'm heavy-handed completely by accident. But I've been working my stand-up a lot lately, so I'm not afraid to...
throw it out there. Yeah. Well, the thing is that people, like you say, some people are still all one-dimensional. It's almost like people want to have something to fall back on, just in case, things aren't going right. Some guys I think it's more of a case. It seems that guys want to have something they can fall back on, whether it be their jiu-jitsu, their wrestling, or their fighting. So they probably feel like they'll experiment with the other stuff. And if it's all going wrong, they like that comfort zone is probably what it is, really. They like to have that comfort zone of having one stronger skill set if they can use it.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And, it's funny because I don't think jiu-jitsu is going to be my comfort spot. It's where I'm most technical right now. It's what I know the best.
Yeah.
But I don't know that if it's going to be my fail-safe. Just not sure. It's too early.
It's too early, yeah. You could be a couple of fights in before you maybe even, it could be 3 or 4 fights until you start to get an idea of where your most preferable place is to fight, really. It could be something as simple as clinching on the cage, having someone pin up against the cage, doing dirty boxing, throwing the little short strikes in, couple of elbows, knees and stuff like that, where you just pick the guy apart slowly on the cage, then you open up by stepping back. It could be something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could. And I haven't really done a whole lot of, because my cage experience is actually very short. I mean, I've had 7 fights, I think, but I mean, really none of them really lasted very long, so... I mean, I haven't really had a whole lot of time up against the cage, and in my last fight with Roy Sanders, I got to pin him up against the cage and ground and pound from there, and I really liked that position. I was on top in kind of an awkward guard that he had, but I could still land, so I was landing, and then I felt him kind of trying to move somewhere else, and I gained side control, and I just beat on him.
Well, that's
I felt in control.
With having a guy in a cage, it is kind of handy because you're reducing one direction that they can escape from, so you're taking away the fact that they can't go back. They can only go left or right then, so that makes it a lot easier for you to come back with the counter or to chase them down or close off the gap. the fact that you're reducing their escapes.
Yeah. I mean, this is the only time I'd ever had somebody on the cage, and I could just feel like, I mean, the only way for him to get out was through me.
Yeah.
And I liked that. Because, I mean, I could stop, you know?
Yeah. And that's one of the things, you know, that's what I think. So some guys probably find that they might prefer that, and you might find that yourself. We don't know yet. You know, after this fight with Randy, you might find out. You might like it. You know, you might do it against Randy and go, do you know what? This is my thing. Who knows? But I tell you what, it's a good fight that's going to happen on Valor Fights, ladies and gentlemen. If you are not in the area and you're not able to get a ticket for this, if you're, say, living in, I don't know, Norway or the North Pole, if you live in the North Pole or somewhere, you can go onto the website and you can go onto the website, and there is links, I believe. Now, I think you can probably watch it online. There'll be somewhere, but there is, like I said, I spoke to Tim Loy, who's CEO. They are doing the UFC Fight Pass deal, so that will kick in at some point. I believe in the next couple of weeks that's going to be, I say, officially, happening. I'm not sure when the first card's going to be. So.
News to me.
Oh yeah. Oh, did you not know about that? Oh, there you go then. I'll pass that I'll drop that information to you. Mate, it's going to happen. So what will probably happen as well. I know with previous promotions that go on to UFC Fight Pass, they put the history on there as well. So your stuff will get eventually put on there as well if they're loading up the history of fights. Like a back catalogue, so to speak. They have the back catalogue of the previous events that the promotions have had.
Like a library of MMA fights.
Yeah, pretty much, man. Valor
has a lot of their stuff on YouTube, and I like to go back and like if I don't watch a Valor show, I'll go on YouTube when they upload, like even if it's just like the 3 fights that they put on TV, because sometimes Fox will play some of their fights.
Yeah.
And I'll go and watch them. I think Valor puts on good shows. They really do.
There is a handful of promotions, like same with Shamrock as well. Shamrock have really good production value as well as a lot of promotions out there that not a lot of people are aware of. Do you know what it is? It's A, accessibility, and B, it's the promotion being out there. So not everyone knows about them, just to the fact that if you live in South Africa, you might not know of this show in America or Brazil or Europe or wherever. Sometimes it literally is the kind of court. I say, well, let's go back to the UFC, Bellator. There's a handful of people will know of, but there are some that people just won't know of unless they're proper, let's say, geeks, like MMA geeks, and they're absorbed into the sport and they will follow every promotion they can.
Yeah. And I guess UFC Fight Pass is a really good way to access some promotions. I don't know how many promotions they have in their on Fight Pass. I don't even know.
They've got Shuto in Brazil. There's one in Russia. I can't remember the name of it. They've got Titan, Invicta. They've signed another one on there as well with American promotion. I can't remember the name of it. They've got at least 5. At the least. This one, Valor's going to get signed. It says 6. So they've got 6 minimum. So
and Valor's going to be one of them?
Yeah. That's getting that. I had Tim on last week. I was talking to him, and he basically said that they're looking to get the deal done, hopefully, in the next, say, 2 weeks. So
that's really cool.
So that'll be when that deal's done. They'll obviously do the announcement, and then I'm not sure which show it will be, which will be the Fight Pass, which will be on Fight Pass. I just know that that's getting done. So that's.
I'm gonna try and get on that card.
I was gonna say, man, you want to try and get on that first one. The exposure you get with Fight Pass as well. It's it hits every household that has in the world, potentially that has the app on their phone or on their Xbox, or I don't know if you can get it on PS4 yet. And I think I see people on Twitter complain about maybe it's not been on PS4 yet, but it's accessible in many platforms. So there's a lot more people out there, to watch you perform.
I think that whole idea behind UFC Fight Pass is really cool.
Yeah, do you know what? I love it. I've got it, man, and I love it. I've had it for a long time. Pretty much, probably. I had Fight Pass when it was accessible. I could get it when it came to the UK. I probably got it when they brought it here. In fact, no, tell a lie. I got it about a month after because my friend bought it, and so I let him experiment and to make sure it was all right. I went, okay, let's try it on yours, and if it isn't any good, I'm not going to get it. And then he had it, and I went, do you know what? I'm gonna have to buy it, all right? And he went, yeah, you're gonna have to buy it, and I did. And you know what? It's the best thing on my phone. I love it more than me contacts, talking to people. Honestly, I would get rid of the phone and not talk to anyone and just watch Fight Pass all day. I'd watch it all day long.
There's that many fights on there, huh? You can just watch it forever.
Oh yeah, I go to Pride, mate. Go back to the good old days of just watching Vanderlei Silva juiced up off his tits on whatever he was taking, and Crow Cop just head kicking people into the next planet. Ah, epic. Just epic stuff. Love it, I do. Corey.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Oh mate, Corey, you have to get in the Fight Pass, man. But Corey, look, you're fighting Randy. It's going to be an awesome bout. Before you shoot off, before you go and enjoy the rest of your afternoon and evening, can you give people at home who don't have it already your social media stuff they can jump onto to follow you, support you, and stuff like that?
What was that?
What's your social media stuff, buddy?
Oh, I have a Facebook. It's just my name, Corey Browning. There's a picture of me. You'll know it's me because I'm wearing hand wraps and I'm in a cage. So.
There we go. Hand wraps. That's all you need to know. Okay. And what about? Have you got any sponsors that help you out?
I don't have any sponsors, but my gym NKI, you know.
And do you want to give a shout out to
McMahon and Craig McMahon?
I was going to say, do you want to give a shout out to your gym and your training partners, your coaches, and friends and family that help you? People that support you as well.
Oh yeah, well, my parents are definitely supporting me. I work for my stepdad. Work for his electrical company right now. Company's expanding too, so there's that. That might open up some opportunities if this MMA thing doesn't work.
It'd be a sparky, yeah. And so do you want to give a shout out to your training partners and stuff?
Yeah, definitely Freddie Walker and Anthony Morgan, main guys that I train with for this fight, and Brandon McMahon, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Freddie's fighting on the same card as well, isn't he, against Austin?
Yeah, Freddie Walker's fighting on the same card.
Yeah.
I think I'm far enough behind it to where I'll get to watch it. You know, it sucks if you have a teammate fighting like one fight before you or two fights before you, where you're kind of busy. Like,
yeah,
you're either getting hand wraps or you're warming up.
Yeah,
you know, and you really want to see the fight, but you really just kind of can't.
Yeah, it is rubbish that when they don't space it out a little bit more, isn't it? Yeah, I've had it before. I've experienced it, mate. Trust me, it is rubbish, that bit, and you just have to listen to the crowd and you go, I have no idea if that's a good sign or a bad sign.
Right, yeah. I don't think Freddie has anything to worry about. I mean, he's definitely dedicated. He's a hard worker. I think he's plenty ready to beat this guy.
I'll tell you what, he's got a great opportunity if he wins this, going on to the next qualifier and stuff like that. Could end up on Las Vegas at the World Championships. There's a lot of potential from this as well.
Yeah, it's a pretty big fight, actually. You know,
yeah.
Number 1 and number 2, he's holding the belt, and you know these guys are supposed. I don't really know the whole details behind it, but yeah, I mean, if he wins, he goes and fights somebody else, I think.
Yeah, he goes to Arizona for the next one, and then it's Vegas after that.
Yeah, he'll fight in Vegas before me. That's crazy. Okay.
Hey, man, do you know what? You can get there, mate. You'll get there eventually. Just got to keep at it. Man. Look, Corey, thanks very much for coming on and speak. It's been a pleasure having you on. And look, have a great fight. Have a great time against Randy, and enjoy your weekend with Valor Fights.
All right, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I am joined right now with Gavin Walker. Sir, thank you very much for joining me and to have a conversation about your fight with Justin Goodin. This bout you've got coming up, the implications of a win could lead to something a lot bigger. Does this factor into your preparation mentally?
Of course. I mean, for me, it's probably the biggest fight of my career, because not just because it's the UMMAF, but I mean, it's a benchmark fight for me. I need to win this to have a title fight in March, and I'm a pretty popular fighter around my area, and I'm getting well known around in other states. But this fight is, I mean, it's huge, because you're going to go to Arizona and fight, and if you win there, you're going to go to the UFC Fan Expo, and you're going to have a ton of pros watching you. And given that I'm only 23 years old, they're going to really look at that and see that I can go places. So I mean, I train for every opponent like it's Tyson. He's no different than anybody else I've trained for, but there is definitely a little bit more pressure on for this fight because it is such a big deal, and I've definitely put in my work, but I've treated him no different. I've just made sure that I've worked extra hard for this fight and haven't missed any days, stayed on my diet, and don't mentally psych yourself out. I'm my own worst enemy. So that was probably the main thing going into this fight, is know that I can go in there and do this because I'm a better fighter. I've trained harder. I've trained longer. And that's pretty much it.
I was going to say, mental aspect is a huge part of it. The mental strength to push yourself through training, to have the strength to believe in yourself, but at the same time, like you say, not psych yourself out, not beat yourself out of a fight before it's even began. It's a lot of fighters' downfall, really, that is.
It's very true, very true. I mean, I think the new Creed movie that came out, Stallone says that, he tells Creed to look in the mirror and he says, tell me what he sees. Like, myself, he said, that's your biggest enemy. And he says, I believe that's true in the ring and in life. And, me, I'm never scared of the guys I fight. There's not been one guy that I've been absolutely just like, oh man, I don't want to fight this fight, I'm not scared of anybody. Every time I go into the ring, I fight myself. It is because I am capable of great things. I know that the good Lord bless me with that, and I put in the work, and there's no reason I shouldn't do my job. It's just, but when you start thinking about, oh, what if I lose? God, who's watching? Everybody knows that I lose, and Lord Mac's girlfriend's going to see that I lost, and all this other stuff. In your head, you can't put that in there. You have to just go in there and be sure of yourself, and I do a lot of praying, but that's what works for me. So.
Now you have you have an athletic background, not just in MMA, but with the American football as well. That sport, they've just had Super Bowl. Broncos just went and won there against the Panthers, but the sport itself, it's a very stop-start style of sport. Okay, it's very explosive, it's very powerful, but it's momentary. It's literally whistle goes, the movement happens, and then there's a few seconds and it stops. How was your transition from American football to MMA? Because MMA is a 5-minute round. It's not you can explode. Then the pacing of it's completely different, and the way you exert yourself.
I think you are right. I mean, it is. There are rest points in MMA. When you get tired, you do. There are things you can do to allow yourself some rest. But it is. You're 100% right. It's completely different from football. Football, you're getting rest after every play, and even if you're trying to, get back on the ball, you still have time. And for me, it wasn't too terrible of a transition. I mean, I started when I was 17, and training and everything. It was definitely different. I'd never done anything like it, but for me, it was more learning the skills and everything, because I literally knew nothing. I just knew how to brawl. And but once you train your body, my body's very quick to adapt. I was a bodybuilder before I got back into fighting, and like my first bodybuilding workout, I threw up. And then, came in and fixed it. I was like, man, I've been a football player. I've been lifting weights my whole life. And it was just different training. So my body, usually the first day I'll go into whatever sport that I'm pursuing, I'll drag. It'll just be awful. And then that second day, it's like, okay, I can do this. My body adapts really quick. But so for me, like, as far as pushing yourself and just having determination, just fighting through the pain, I was a tough guy. I mean, I was used to that. So that wasn't hard to come into MMA. But definitely, as an amateur, you got 3 3-minute rounds. So that was fine, but at our gym we train 5 5-minute rounds, 6 to 7 5-minute rounds, and when you're fighting somebody, when have you fought somebody for 5 minutes, I can't think of a street fight that I've fought that's lasted for 5 minutes before somebody broke it up or I knocked them out. So definitely have to train your cardio, and that's the biggest thing for heavyweights, is, I mean, it's just how long can you go?
I was going to say that is a huge factor. I've spoken to heavyweights before. With your background with the American football, do you feel the conditioning helped in that factor? Do you think that really played a part? Having that, you obviously had that conditioning beforehand. Do you think it helped?
I think partially, yeah. I mean, I think it definitely helped. Having a football background rather than being someone who's really never played sports and just come into MMA. There are some kids who are just naturals at everything that they do, but in the heavyweight division, not so much. But I do think that either way, I mean, cardio is something that I think every heavyweight really has to bust more than anything. Honestly, kind of more than your skill and more than everything else. You have to. That's the only thing in your control. That's the only thing you can do, and it's discouraging sometimes when you've been going for months and months, and you feel good about your, week 4 you'll feel good about your cardio, and then week 5 you're like, man, why am I breathing heavy today? And it is the only thing that you can control, and I've had to personally bust it because I'm mostly muscle, and muscle. I think I have maybe 10% body fat on me, and the more muscle you have, the more oxygen it requires. Yeah. So I really have to extra do my cardio just hardcore, and it's different from football because you kind of have to push yourself that extra mile. Like, you can go to class and do your cardio there, but on Sundays, I'm doing 10 rounds of shadow boxing with the training masks, running a mile, doing 4 rounds on the heavy bag, couple rounds of jump rope. You kind of have to push yourself to make yourself do the cardio.
Yeah.
But, it does kind of come down to just power of will.
Yeah, I was going to say, the more muscle it can be detrimental, but you have to be very smart in the way you fight. You can't just go out there and try and be you can't sprint because you won't last the full length of the fight.
Exactly.
I imagine for yourself then, with that muscle mass, because your heart isn't any bigger than anyone else's. Everyone's heart is the size of roughly of a fist, so there's no greater difference. You get the same heart pumping, the blood round, so you do have to be careful about getting your heart rate up. If it gets hot, if your heart rate gets high, you have to try and calm it down to try and oxygenate yourself a bit better. Do you then, like you say, with the cardio that you're doing, when you're grappling, is this something you have to work on? I imagine it. Do you try to push yourself, see where your limits are, so you know how to pace yourself?
When it comes to grappling, I feel. I train with the best guys around. I really do. I'm training with Adam Primetime Townsend, Jonathan Pierce, Dustin Walden, Ian Boxhorn. All these really good fighters, and they're smaller than me. So when I grapple and stuff, I do like to go with if I'm doing cage work and so I like to go with bigger guys to feel that pressure. But it's honestly harder going with the littler guys because, one, they're pros and they're very good at what they do. Two, they know how to distribute their weight and they have more cardio than I do. They have more cardio than anybody that I know. Yeah. So going with them helps me the most. When it comes to grappling, I can roll for a while. I really don't get too tired grappling. There are those times where you get in that position that just really sucks and you're like, oh man, just get off me. But the main thing I think that tires me out the most, and it tires everybody. Every time we come to class, we're like, we dread wrestling. We're good at it, and you have to do it. But I think, I played around wrestling with some of the guys in high school, getting ready for matches. I never wrestled in high school, but it's very tiring. I think that whole, sprawling, backing up, working your underhooks while somebody's digging their shoulder into you. That I think drains your cardio more than grappling does. I feel very fluid with rolling. The more calm you are, rolling and grappling, the easier you are. If you get in those positions and you start freaking out, if you get full mounted, you start freaking out, you're obviously going to gas a lot quicker. Yeah. But if you just remain calm and all that, and I do think grappling and wrestling is just an area that you can never fully master. I think that's just something you can always improve on. And I know I've had to really, work it. I had to stop muscling guys to do what I want. I needed to learn the technique and slow down and control my breathing. And we've been working on that a lot.
Yeah, you nailed it on there, because, like you say, the pummeling, that people who've never done it before, they won't know how hard it is. Like, my shoulders go on fire when you're pummeling hard for a while, and then when you break up and you try to do some striking, it feels like you're punching through tar. There's no speed, there's no power. It just feels like slow motion.
It does, exactly. Yeah, pummeling, and that's why a lot of people don't realize about pummeling. When they see that done, a lot of people just use their upper bodies. But if you watch, really good wrestlers, you watch their feet. they're, throwing their left foot forward, and then when they switch, they're throwing their right foot forward. And they're moving. It's a full body exercise, and you kind of look at that and you're like, well, when would I ever use that in a fight? But when you get up against the cage, you're working those underhooks. That's exactly what it is. It's exactly what you've been practicing. So it's a very useful drill.
Yeah, it's interesting talking to heavyweights because it is a big factor, the fact that they can sustain a good tempo for so long, but then like the cardio factor comes in. Some guys don't maintain it. Like when I was looking at your information, looking at your background, I thought about Matt Mitrione as an example because he did the football. He had the footballing background, the American footballing background, and he is an explosive. Like he's really quick off his feet. He's got that that sprinter kind of burst that it puts a lot of fighters off when he fights them. They get caught out by how fast he is for a guy that size. I imagine that's something like yourself. You kind of use that though as a weapon as well, even though it's being explosive can be a bit draining. I imagine that's one of your kind of weapons that you like to use.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, me. I just came back into fighting in July from bodybuilding, so there's definitely a lot of factors that play into that. Cage experience is a huge one. The more experience you get in the cage, the more you're going to develop your own fighting style and kind of know when to turn it on and turn it off. And my last two fights, I fought very technical, which wasn't a big. It's very good. You don't see that from many heavyweights, and it was enough to get the job done. But you also do leave that in the judge's hands when you do that, and so you do have to kind of pick. I feel the best thing for me is exactly what you said. Kind of calm down and pick your shots. Know when to explode and when not to explode. Basically, almost every heavyweight I've fought, they like to come out and just try to take my head off. That's the first thing they want to do. And the guy I'm fighting, he's got one direction. He's going to come out and try to destroy me. I mean, that's what. And some guys can do that, hold that pace for a long time. Me, I don't like to do that. That's just not me personally. I like to remain relaxed and keep my heart rate at a good pace. So when I see the shot, I'm going to explode and take it and go in a flurry. That's the smartest way to fight, I feel.
Well, if Justin brings his style and you've got your style, that makes it for quite an interesting bout then with the pair of you, because you're two different styles who can implement their game plan, who can implement their style in the fight to make it more effective. It is an interesting fight, and like I say, that what's even kind of more interesting is that it's a qualifier, like we say, to potentially progress on to end up fighting at UFC Fight Week, at the World Championships, which again, huge exposure, huge opportunity, and just really good experience. I love what they're doing. I love the work that the UMMAF are doing to get the exposure and also to get the experience for these fighters like yourselves. Now, the opportunities, it's really kind of helping the amateur scene. It gives it more meaning. It gives yourselves a bit of a goal to shoot for as well before you want to even hit the pro ranks.
Exactly. Yeah, it 100% does. I think it's a great opportunity, and it doesn't come around very often. And a lot of amateur MMA has been overlooked over the years. And now it's such a growing sport. And technically, it's kind of like school. Elementary school. Those little kids are going to be our future. It's the same with MMA. Amateur is going to be the future. They're going to be the future pros. And I look at it as if you win this fight, you're going down to Arizona. It doesn't matter. And if you make it to Fight Week, it doesn't matter if you get your tail beat down there, at Fight Week. It doesn't matter because they're going to look at it and they're going to say, oh, look, this dude's huge. He's 23 years old and he's lost a fight. Like, come on, we're going to give this kid a call again. You know what I mean? So it's, at the least, you're going to have a bunch of exposure. People are going to know who you are and follow you, and you never know, invite you places. You never know what could come of it. It's a huge opportunity, and I'm very blessed and thankful for it.
So you're taking on Justin Goodin. It's going to happen. It's going to be an awesome, epic fight. Before you shoot off, Gavin, how about you give everyone at home your social media stuff so they can jump on and tune in?
My social media, this one's pretty simple. My Facebook is Gavin Walker, and Gavin, and then Walker, like Texas Ranger. And I think my profile pic's a picture of my shirt off with my abs. I don't remember what it is right now. And then my Instagram is all lowercase. It is GWalker65. and that's my Instagram account. I don't do Twitter or MySpace. I think I do have a MySpace floating around, but it's got a picture of me from like when I was in like middle school or something. I don't even remember. I haven't even looked at it in forever.
Don't worry about it. I had a MySpace, and I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know if it's still existing. Look, Gavin, that's your social media. People at home, jump on, give him a follow, maybe give him a bit of support on his journey that he's taken. Let's do sponsors next. That's it. We'll do sponsors, then we'll do your thanks afterwards. Have you got any sponsors helping you out?
Yeah, I do, and I felt really bad actually. My last fight, I was supposed to fight December. I think it was 5th. I think it was the 5th or the 10th. I think it was the 5th. And my opponent, he passed out at the ring. Literally at the ring. I was getting ready to walk out, so
wow.
I had all my sponsors paid. They had paid me, to fight and everything. But I've got some good help around here, some really good friends. Steve Sunbrenner, he's a good friend of mine. He actually worked for him as a bouncer at his club called Old South, and he sells insurance for State Farm, and he's helped me out a lot. Also, Justin Page of Ink Revolution Studios. He's a terrific artist. Won countless awards, best in the area. He's done all my work. Basically, every fight I have, he'll do a piece on me. And great guy, like I said. I have Dakota Mullins' mother. She helps me out. He's one of my best friends, and her mother. They run a water line company, and they drill for that and dig those. And she helps me out, sponsors me, and all that. And also, Lifestyles Fitness Center. There's a barber shop in there called JC Mail, and they are also the best in the area. This is all in the Tri-Cities, so I don't know who wants to travel for all this, but if you're in the area, it's great. His name's Kenneth Kaiser, and he helps me out a lot as well. And that's about all off the top of my head I can think of. I hope I'm not forgetting someone. I want to hear about it later. But I'm always looking for new ones for sure. And that's those are my pretty religious ones, the ones that are about every fight, helping me out. So.
It sounds like you got some good following backing up you. It's great, mate, honestly. And the fact that they're local, people who listen to this, if you live in the local area, go maybe see some of these places, get your hair cut and stuff like that. Last but not least, who do you want to give? Do you want to give thanks to, like, your coaches, like you say, teammates, friends, family, people like that?
Yeah, for sure. This is kind of cliche, but really the real things does go to I'm very spiritual. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. That is I've had a rough year. I had a very rough time, a lot of emotional and mental trauma, and the Lord has got me through it. And I feel like I'm on the path that He wants me on. I'm on the right path. I'm doing what He wants me to do, and MMA is all for His glory and to witness to the multitudes. So that's the way I do God's work. Is use my physical ability, because I'm smart, but I can't afford to go to school, so I gotta fight my way out. And the second thing, my team they're amazing. PK, Precision Kickboxing Academy. We go by the Evil Fight Team. Everybody in there, we push each other every day. I'd like to thank Dustin Walden for coaching me, Ian Boxhorn, Adam Townsend, old Prime Time. He's a big name, and he's really those three guys. I'm really close to them outside of the gym as well, and I'm close to everybody in that gym. Jonathan Pierce, I'd like to thank him. He's an upcoming fighter, pro fighter, great guy. He's helped me out, giving me the mental talks before the fights and everything. I wouldn't name off everyone in the gym, but I'm going to forget somebody, so I don't want to, but I'll give it a go. Linda Gray, Alex McKinney, Brandon Bell, Robert, cannot remember his last name off the top of my head. I've got 4, and then I can't remember. I'm freaking out because I can't remember everybody right now. There's way too many. Steven Haag comes down and trains with us. Brandon Bell from Kentucky, he comes down. And Matt McKenna, he's also my boss at work, but I fight with him too, so that's fun. We get to punch each other in the face while we're on our work break.
Yeah, sounds good.
But all those guys, I like to thank my mom and dad. They're terrific parents. Couldn't ask for more. They've been with me through it all, and all my family, friends, who support me and follow me on Facebook and just really wish me the best. I can't say enough of how great that is to have them in my life. So I'm very blessed.
Awesome. Sounds like you got an absolutely fantastic circle of people there. Honestly, Gavin, thank you very much for your time. I want you to have a great fight. I want you to have a great time. Just enjoy the whole weekend and experience. All right.
I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate that.
No, our absolute pleasure for having you on. And we hope you all enjoyed this week. We certainly did. We had a great time. And we just want to get you, before you go, jump on your social networking sites and give these people a follow. We have
MMA Scotland.
We have on Facebook UFC Wreckage. Also, their website and Twitter is MMA Wreckage.
We also have MMA UK, and their Twitter handle is We Are MMA UK.
On Facebook, we have Fighting and MMA.
And on Facebook and Twitter, we have The Real MMA Talk.
And then last but not least, on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, they're funny. They talk about MMA. It's funny MMA. Jump on. They'll give you a giggle. And let's finish off with thank you very much, everyone. We will be back very soon, won't we, Mike?
Yep, definitely. Thank you very much, and goodbye.